to Horror Hour.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Get you Here's Johnny.
Hello and welcome to the Horror Hour, a place we discuss, we debate, we typically disagree on everything horror. But today I'm really excited because we're going to actually talk Dragula. So I'm one of the co-hosts here, Yutaka, hello, and I'm joined with Liam.
Good day.
Oh, okay. And we also have a guest host as well, or Brother Ghoulish, aka Ryan. How are you?
I'm good.
And of course, I'm so excited to have this person back on our channel. We have the incredible Saint. How are you?
I'm happy to be back.
Oh my goodness. First off, just tell us about the look, because this is amazing.
So I ended up making this look from a teddy bear. I've actually had this look planned for a year. I was really busy during the whole Dragula rush. But I actually got this. This is all just a $10 bear that I got at a thrift store.
Wow.
That's impressive. I love it.
I was just it was literally sitting at Sigourney's house. She literally called me 3 months ago and she's like, "Are you gonna get this bear, dude?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." And I just had it sitting in the corner staring at me. I was like, okay, I should probably hack this up and turn it into something.
I don't know if you're a Melanie Martinez fan, but if you are, you should perform to Teddy Bear by her today.
I was thinking that too, because I've been sometimes I struggle with figuring out what songs to pair with which looks. So yeah, that one's been at the tip of my list to do.
Oh my god, the day you do that, I don't care where you do it, let me know I'm coming. I'm not, even if I have to go to Greyhound.
That's amazing. So Liam, I'll let you start off.
Okay. So just to get everyone started, just what have you been up to since obviously season 4 ended?
Honestly, this last month is the first time I've been able to take a break and sit down and just work on stuff that I want to work on. But I've been everywhere, traveling all around, meeting new people, doing weird stuff, music videos, and so right now I'm as of right now I'm having a little bit of downtime, which I'm really enjoying, to just sit back and work on stuff that I want to work on, being a teddy bear.
And it's a good way of spending that time. And it's a different kind of bear as well. So
Oh,
And-
I thought you were about to pinch the nipples. I was about to scream.
They're buttons.
No.
Did you put them on there? You put the button nipples?
Yeah, this was the bear's. I had to hack his hands up. These are actually the hands for the bear that I had to turn into nipples, because I only had so much bear to work with.
Oh, that's so good.
Oh my god. I don't know why I thought the bear came with the nipples. What
Yeah, they don't tend to have them.
What have y'all been up to?
I'm trying to think of a PC way to say this. No. Oh, you know what? I've been listening to a new podcast from Monkey Paw Productions called Quiet Part Loud. So good. So scary. Don't listen to it while driving. That's the mistake I made. Yeah.
Gorney and I
don't drive. I'm good.
Podcast schedule.
What was
yes.
We've been trying to keep a steady podcast schedule. It's so hard to keep up the schedule.
It's a lot of work that I mean, sometimes we're not even that great with it. It's hard.
Also, like for us, sometimes we find like trying to find like the best like attitude to have during the podcast. Like, because if her and I are going through like having a day or something, like putting ourselves in a space to like sit down and be excited and like, like yeah. Anybody who can do a regular podcast, like wow. Just like, it's like been one of those things like, learning while trying it has been like very difficult for us.
I will a very good tip that I learned about 3 weeks ago, I would say. When you're having a shit day and you need to record a podcast, the best thing is to get 3 bottles of wine and drink them while you do it.
You know what?
You have a lovely time. The listeners have a lovely time when they eventually listen to it.
Ooh,
Fantastic.
Especially if you can remember doing it. Yeah, I can see
I
that.
did, and I did.
he did for the. I thought he was gonna black out. He did not. I would be passed out, but I mean, what we filmed for almost 5 hours.
About 4 or 5 hours, yeah.
Yeah.
So what is that? About 15 bottles? Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad.
I'm only managed 3. I'm not a professional.
Oh my god.
So since I did see, we already started. I was supposed to start off the question, and I was like, Liam, start. So Ryan, I'll let you go next, and then we'll get back into the groove.
Okay, Saint. So how have you found the fan reaction to you since the season ended?
I'm gonna be honest. I try like to keep my like nose out of that. Like, what people like too much of like what people think. Just because like, I personally I still consider myself a drag hobbyist. So like, I like, some people are really good at like pushing content out, but for me, like if I'm gonna put it out, I really want it to be like something I can look back at and be proud of, not something I did just to like satiate people. So like, usually I do read some of the comments and like I think my personal comments are always like gonna be like good and and I really enjoy and thankful for people to like give me them. But as far as like trying to like really seek out what people are thinking, I try my best to stay away from that.
Yeah, that sounds healthy. Especially because, the internet can just be
Oh
a
yeah.
mess.
So I just do my best to try to like to stay out of like, like off of like Reddit and like, like the deep dark parts of the internet where people are like, not a lot of stuff to say. So I just like, I just keep my like head low and like really just focus on like the stuff that I'm doing personally.
I love that.
Yeah.
We try.
Oh, it's hard to sometimes you go down a rabbit hole. I try well, I do actually read all of our comments just because I try working on engagement, but I definitely make sure to also disassociate because I'm like, okay, because we had well, we did have somebody call us obese, and I'm like, okay, whatevs, but thanks for the engagement.
Like that's one of the things like for Sigourney's and I's podcast, I do try to read the comments for that. But like sometimes they just get to like, a weird space where they're like, I don't really like the way Saint talks. And I'm like, well, Diva, like don't listen to it. I can't help you. Like I'll see like there'll be like some good ones in there where I'm like, okay, this one I feel like is helpful. Like so, but as far as like when it comes to like the drag and stuff that I produce, I'm just kind of like, Diva, I'm doing this for myself. Like I like what I do, and I'm very happy. Like it might not be as like frequent as people would like it to be, but for me, I feel like I do it at like a fun pace.
You got to do it to make sure you're enjoying it. I mean, that's at the heart of everything, honestly. With winning Resurrection, when you were going into season 4, did you feel that there was, an added pressure of going into that? I mean, especially that I would say that pressure cooker, because I mean it was a great season, but I love it.
Absolutely. I thought like, I was so happy to see Dolly there because like I think some people were like, ooh, like is how Saint gonna feel about it? Honestly, I was happy because I was like, I could feel like a target on my back a little bit, like, people not really knowing, like, already being on the show, everyone thinks that like I already had like a really big advantage. And plus, like, knowing the Boulets on like 3 and Resurrection. So I was really nervous about that. So when Dolly came, I was just like, at least some of this heat can be off of me. And we
Let's
had
share the pressure.
yeah, we got to share the pressure. And then like, I feel like he was like probably like the closest person there. So we had like almost like, I don't want to call it like an alliance, but it was kind of like a you got me, I got you kind of situation. There were certain
And
moments
that's
where it
something
really
good to
came,
have.
like for instance, the car, like the clown car situation. I was just like, when Dolly won, I was like, whew. Like, at least I'm not gonna be in the last car. So
I did enjoy that one.
yeah,
Yeah.
how are you enjoying the new Titans so far? Right.
It's been so good.
So good. So
Like, it's
good.
just wild. Real wild.
I stayed up, watched the first episode, because my mom had surgery, so I was supposed to go to the premiere, but because I had to go back home because I couldn't make it. But I stayed up and watched it at the hospital, and when I was done, I felt like I was like watching something that was in the middle of the season. Like all of it felt so climactic. Like the drama was at a 10, like the looks were amazing. I just felt like I was watching something like mid-season.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
they
definitely.
were off to the ramparts. Like even in that first episode, it was just, oh my god.
I loved it, and I mean, this last challenge, that spoke to my nerd heart, being D&D. But then Coco came out and crushed it as the barbarian. I was obsessed.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about D&D, so I just sat there going, it looks nice.
That's kind of how I am. Like, I don't like, because D&D, it has like so many layers to it, and I don't understand all the layers. But from like the surface, with all like, I was like, ooh, like give me a D&D challenge.
It's just live action role playing, and they got to really have a good time, and the looks they turned out.
Yeah. I just like the variety of looks. I feel like when people think of Dragula, they think of like dark and gritty. So to see somebody like Eva with like, a lot of colors and stuff, I was like really living for like just the variety.
Yeah, so do you think that would have been a challenge that you would have turned out, as they say?
I think so. Like that one would have been one I would have been looking forward to like a lot. I think the one that would have slipped me up so far is sci-fi. Sci-fi is such like a hard thing to like do.
Yeah.
Like if it like there's like certain things that it needs to have to like hit the mark kind of.
That's true.
Silver. Okay. So you're saying obviously you think that one, the D&D one, would have been a good one.
Yeah.
Out of the ones that were available, who would you like to have been?
Ooh. Probably Aboras. Like, wasn't Aboras like human druid?
Yes.
I think that one would have been fun. Like to have like growths like coming out, like like a tree or something. I don't know. For me, it doesn't like take me very long to like think of them, because a lot of the fun thing about Dragula is like a lot of the looks and stuff. Like I've already been like, especially this season, I believe them being like reoccurring. Like I can confirm that, but so far, every episode seems like a mashup of like several challenges, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
No,
I
it
could
does.
see
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So
The thing Darlie said last week, obviously they've basically done like everything
yeah.
already. Because that was obviously, we were only up to episode 3, and that was like a witch, sci-fi, and they were like, well, obviously they've kind of done sci-fi, because you kind of did sci-fi because you had the sci-fi Wild West theme episode.
Oh my god. It's the only look I wish I could redo.
But it was cow.
I just like, I don't know. I think like when I was like creating and putting all the like the looks together, I think that one just slipped through the cracks of like refinement. Because like 12,
Happens.
like especially like like my process for making a look is I have a mannequin and I just set it. I have like 3 mannequins, and I like will like sometimes the stuff will sit on the mannequins for months, and then like I'll walk past and like take something off and put something on. So to be able to have to do so many looks in a short period of time is like so like killer to me, because I'm always like, oh my god, like every look from the show I could like redo, like if I just had like a little bit more time to put into like the thought of each of them, like just some more characterization would have been nice for all of them.
Everyone thinks that they could have done better. We all think you did well, so there you go.
I am curious about something that you said. So when you're outside of the Dragula circuit, since you do work on looks like, over the course of months, do you have multiple mannequins where you're like working on looks simultaneously, or do you like to more so force focus on just one at a time?
Oh no, I try to work on them simultaneously, because sometimes I'll like pick it apart or run into like obstacles when I'm like making it. Like this was like an actual teddy bear's face. So like having to like figure out how I'm gonna like get it in my head and have it like secure, like there's no like playbook on how to do that. So I just run into roadblocks and like I'm just like, maybe, and then I'll just like I have to take a few days off. So
Makes sense.
I'm scaring my neighbors.
We're just standing at the window like,
Yeah, I'm like,
Oh my gosh, I love that. So speaking of just also your relationship with Sig, I know you just recently also moved to Chicago.
yeah.
How are you finding that, the relocation and now being in that city? Because it's a fun city, but it is very there's a lot of drag talent there.
Luckily, so far it has been pretty great. Like, like I haven't run into too many problems. Like Sig and I, we host a weekly viewing party. So like to come into a city and start a viewing party, like, months after, pretty good. And everybody's so friendly here and great in Chicago. Like everybody is like awesome. It doesn't feel like gatekeepery or anything. It seems like they're ready to like embrace new and like good drag, which is like really nice comparatively to some of the cities that I lived in.
I mean, yeah, I was actually really happy to see that they were doing a Dragula viewing party at Roscoe's. I was like, and then I saw the host. I'm like, oh my god, that's amazing.
Yeah, I believe we're gonna be having some Titans in a little bit later on. Yeah,
oh,
Yes.
so I'm excited about that.
Oh my gosh, I'm trying to.
so
Oh, go ahead, Liam.
no. So obviously going into the Roscoe's viewing party thing, was it a bit daunting knowing how obviously big that has become? Because
Oh,
it isn't just like a normal viewing party, is it? It's
oh,
obviously it's
the first night,
the viewing party.
the next morning was just like Twitter was blowing up. Every I realized very shortly the first night I had one too many drinks. They have these drinks there called the Dragula Kisses, and only 3. Because after 4 or 5, you're just on that mic saying whatever. I was like, I got up that morning. It's just like, that morning music, that and I checked my phone. I'm like, oh fuck. It was a very with great power comes with great responsibility part. Like it was very that. I was like, oh, okay. Well, I guess you better watch what you say. And then that was the other thing. I think people have maybe like curated like what they think of me, and then like I just keep a lot of my like personal life personal. So anytime like I feel like when I speak it to like people, it's just like either they kind of hate it or love it. So it was like very like I think that was the part I was nervous about doing it. Is like people have only seen me a lot of people only see me through the lens of Dragula.
Yeah.
So like I don't know like how they like when they actually find out who I am, like if they're like gonna love me, but not everybody.
Just they're awful.
A lot of that.
We've been told that ourselves, so you carry on.
Yeah.
Prove
I
'em
find it
wrong.
amusing because I'm like, no, I am awful, but I'm fine with it. Uh, so while you've been watching the viewing part, doing the viewing parties, has there been any standout word? Has there been any standouts so far for you in the
Um,
cast?
I think definitely Victoria. It was one of those things where it's just like at this point, like I feel I was like I kind of felt bad because like she rose the bar so high for herself. But I think personally she's been keeping up with it. Like, like Victoria, I feel like when people think of Victoria, they have like, they want a certain thing from Victoria. And if like she decides she wants to like drop the ball that day, people were like gonna be so quick to point it out. Um, I think it's really cool people are getting to be able to see a lot more of Coco just because they didn't. I always think that's
Yeah.
like really special when somebody comes back and like, they were maybe an early out. I don't know why I think that, but like but it was really nice that people were seeing like Coco, also like Astrid kind of having like a transformation and then coming back is really cool. So who else? Abora, just because Abora's Abora. She was like, I think she's just so like in your face, like
Yeah.
season 2, and just for her to come back on the same in your face Abora, like kind of like you just don't know what you're gonna get from her. So and Hoso coming back as well. So that was like really cool. So
Yeah, like really quickly, obviously, after, because as they said on the show, obviously, you had just done season 4, you just went straight into that world tour,
yeah,
and then obviously it was straight into there. Like, that's just like, how do you have the time?
I know. Even me, like when I was like guest judging, I was just like, it was like so shortly after. I was like, oh, well, this is surprising. So
Are there any of the floor shows or fright feats that you thought I wish that I had been on one of my seasons?
um huh. I think so far no. Like so far, like I was really, really happy with all of the floor shows like on our season. Like each one was like very fun for me. Um, let me think. Fright feeds, they can keep them all. I don't know how I feel about having to do that every week. Like, that's like, kind of like the saving grace, for like like I don't have to do an extermination if I'm good. So like the idea that everybody has to do it is crazy. And as far as like
It
floor
makes
show,
it very fun though, doesn't it?
yeah, it does. I'm just like, who's gonna like because they put out that rule that, like if someone doesn't do the fright feed, that the previous person comes back. So I'm curious if that's gonna like play a role in it. Also, I keep forgetting that I guest judged. Like the trailer had dropped. I was like, oh my god, that is me. Like I was like, what am I doing there?
What is this? Witchcraft.
Which is like it has also got me in trouble because like the night of the first viewing party at Roscoe's, I was just talking based on like what I seen on the episode, not fully thinking that there would be like people trying to like sleuth out like, well, if Saint was guest judging,
Oh.
she would know. And I was just like, no, Divas,
Oh.
I was like, you guys are gonna have to try harder because I've forgotten everything.
Oh,
Those
because you know
sleuths
then
out
people are
there.
just going to be on Reddit like,
Yeah. Oh, and they were. It was like immediately.
she
They were like,
paused
"Well,
when she
Saint thinks
said
that
this
this
name.
person's gonna go down." I was like, I'm just saying that because I seen like what was here on the episode, not because I remember.
If so, if you had to pick a typical Halloween costume to Dragula up, I would like to know what would you pick?
Ooh, what would I pick? Hmm. I think I'd probably go for Mummy. Yeah.
I'm down for
I think
that.
I'll go for Mummy.
Yeah.
Like honestly, sometimes I think that was my hardest challenge when like preparing for a look. Is sometimes I don't know which way to go because like my original horror icons reimagined was going to be Sully from Monsters Inc. But then I was just like, maybe people won't see that. Like, maybe people won't see that as a horror icon. So like then I was like, maybe it's best to just go more on the nose, pick one that everyone's gonna know. But I like each of the ones I had like a plethora of ideas.
Such a good idea, though.
Someone can have it. I'm over it now. Like happy
Well,
that
there we go.
knows. But yeah, I was like Sadie, and then I was like thinking like Elvira. I had like a bunch of ideas, like a bunch.
But you did well with what you did. So there we go. Who needs another thing?
Right.
You just need the one that you were good at.
I think one of the floor shows from like the history of the show that I really want to do is the Cenobite one.
Yeah.
And I was like thinking like that's kind of one of the looks on the mannequin right now that I'm like kind of like trying to peck away at doing. And like hopefully I'll have it out by this year, but I've been like slowly pecking because that was like if there's been any floor show and like the history of the show that I've always wanted to do, it was that one.
Oh,
Understandable.
I mean, it's so iconic.
Yeah, like Vicky, like, there was so many good looks. That's one that I hope like comes back on this season. Like I would love to see that as like one of the challenges that they bring back. Just because like something about Hoso, you can just drop Hoso in any challenge and Hoso will just make it work.
Yeah.
Oh my
I would love to
so
see, like Hoso do like a Cenobite look just because I just want to see what that looks like.
you just know it would be terrifying though, what don't you?
Absolutely.
Oh, nightmare fuel. Like,
honestly,
it would be amazing, but terrifying.
I've been looking forward to like every episode of Titans because first of all, I'm not on it because so like because like every like when it was airing while I was like watching it every week, I was like, oh, I can't believe I said that. And like I don't know, there was just like it's like weird seeing yourself like there and not having like full control over it or like seeing what stuff is like edited in and edited out. But it was like I think this has been so fun because this is like the first season I get to watch as like a fan again and just kind of like sit back on the couch and just like eke at the looks and like be like inspired by like seeing everybody and like just sit back and just enjoy it without thinking too hard about it.
I mean, I will say that's what always surprised me with season 4 when we were either getting to interview other contestants or had them on that none of them had the screeners. So that like we were so like, you don't get to we like Liam and I had to sit on that for a week and not be able to talk about anything. Like this season, it's different. They're not giving them out to anybody. Yeah. But I was just like, oh, like, well, I don't know how it was portrayed. I was like, oh, okay, well, awesome. This will be a fun discussion.
Like the Ghost Ship Glamour episode, I think we were all waiting for that episode to see like how the hell do you turn that day into an episode? Like
you make Darley do an introduction and then turn it into some sort of soap opera.
It's like I remember like afterwards when we like after we wrap and we're like laying in bed that night, I'm just like when people see this, it is gonna be because it was just as chaotic as everyone saw it. Like
I remember Phil was talking about because he had he was judging that one too, and he had mentioned how something happened, so all the cameras had to go and rush. And I was like, oh man, like I could imagine.
Yeah, I think we were all feeling such different things, which was very funny, but I'm happy we get to just look back at it and laugh.
Oh, but I imagine it was awful while you were going through it.
Oh my gosh. There was like several points where I just wanted to like take my cane and be like, get these fucking cameras out of my
Oh.
face. Like,
That'd have been iconic, though.
It actually would have been. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like a plethora of like it's so funny. Because like, anytime Sigourney and I like sit up and we're like on YouTube, it'll just like pop back up like Dragon like fighting her, and I just have to like sit like and like scroll past it. Or like friends will bring it up. They're like, remember that? I'm like, shut up talking to me.
YouTube is shady like that, bringing up some of those moments.
I still think I
It's
should've-
worth it. Oh, no, it was sick that won that challenge, wasn't it?
Yeah, who I love dearly, and I'm happy she won. But if I would have won, I think our friendship would be stronger. No, I'm just kidding. I love her.
Just every time you meet up, like, I know we're friends, but there's still an issue here. So, speaking of obviously all of that drama, I'm going to try and cause a new drama, and I'm going to try and get you to throw someone under the bus. Well, all of them under the bus, and say, have you agreed with the outcomes of the episodes so far?
Who did we lost? We lost Yoska, Kendra. So far,
And-
so good. There hasn't been any like super shocking eliminations where you didn't feel like it was like unnecessary. There was no like Astrid Chop episode 2 moments where you're like, whoa.
That shock still like gets me. I'm like, like you were right up there. The Boulets, they don't F around.
We were shocked too. We were just like, I was for sure it was Betty, but yeah, so far so good. Even like Abora like leaving and coming back, I'm like, I'm okay with that. I'm also like Hoso and a fan of Abora, so I would like to see what Abora does.
Yeah. I just got really confused by the first episode because when they were like, oh, like these are going to be the rules. So I just assumed that was going to be the rules going forward. But then no, it was just like a one episode thing just to throw you off.
I like that they were voting people. Like if you
I thought it was going to be great.
Yeah, I was like, if you want to get people like fighting naturally, like that's the way to do it. Which let me tell the editing this season is so shady.
Yes.
It is so shady, and I'm living for it. Like this recent episode when Astrid is in the cauldron and she's just like, Coco, I would have done the same thing for you, and then it shows the black and white of Astrid putting Coco's name in there. I'm just like, you are killing me.
That scene was, I was like, oh.
Like, and they don't stop. They have been doing it every episode. It is kind of crazy. Like, you can't say nothing. Like, Eva's just like, yeah, I love you. And then they just cut to the black and white screen. I'm just like, anytime that black and white screen come up.
It's just getting, no, don't look.
It is shady.
But that's what we love, isn't it?
Oh yes.
That's
all right.
the reason why I'm happy I'm not on this season.
You couldn't deal with all of the black and white cutaways.
Because on season 4, sometimes they would do them, and like I was the victim of it. Because they're like, it was like cows on Ambien, and then it's just like literally 1.5 seconds. I measured it. I like checked the time. I cut it out. It's 1.5 seconds to me walking in slow motion. I'm just like, but these ones are really incriminating.
They kind of give some receipts with these, so
yeah, I'm like, wow.
I mean, everyone loves a receipt.
How are y'all feeling about there not being like any exterminations?
I think it's a breath of fresh air. Like, I'm not upset by it. Like, I like that they're switching it up a bit.
It does feel like the episodes have like a little bit more length to them.
Yeah,
I
like the switch.
Yeah.
I like
I-
it going to everyone being made to do it. It's just so funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really enjoying like the length of the episodes. I feel like I'm getting a lot more. And there are no weird like plot holes kind of for the
Yeah.
drama of the season. Because sometimes they'd be like, even like watching it as somebody who was there, I'm like, well, when did this happen? Like
I've been enjoying this season a lot. Mainly, I've really enjoyed the floor shows. And as we, you mentioned in the beginning, though, this season, like they just hit the ground running, and so I'm just like, oh my god, they are just doing so much, and I love it. And I would have to say that I am also very happy that it's really cool to see like just Coco. Just I adore Coco, but mainly also too because of the clown part and the voguing. Everyone still remembers that. It was a great scene. And to ride that and then come back and now just people really getting to see Coco. I'm like, that's so awesome.
feel like a
Like,
fully developed character is like
yes. And so
Yeah.
I've just been enamored this season. I think everyone is. I'm having a lot of fun. I'm not sure if everyone's having fun in a sense because nobody wants to go home, but I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
having fun.
I'm having fun too.
And we got the iconic shoes, which when that started playing, I screamed.
It gave me like season 1 vibes. It gave me season 1 vibes when they had to perform "Hair" by Alaska.
Yeah.
Which okay,
But that just,
I never watched season 1, and
oh,
I didn't do it, but I did recently, and I'm happy I did. It's so good. It's like the episodes are like 15 minutes. Like you can binge it in like hour and a half. If anybody who's listening who hasn't watched season 1, you should. It's really great.
Yeah.
and it's now officially been added to Shudder,
Yeah.
And
where
like
all of them
like
are.
and I know it gets that like rep of being hard to watch, but it really isn't. Once you like sit down and hit play,
No.
like,
I didn't know it had that rep. Like I like season 1 a lot. Like it was
like cute. It was like, it's like it has this like Blair Witch moments, but I thought it was like really good. Like
ooh.
I mean, it was a great shock to the system because we've been so used to seeing, and I do love Drag Race, but it was nice to see alternative drag that for me, I'll say I didn't know at the time existed, and I was like, oh, I love horror, and I'm like, and now you're gonna add drag to it. I'm like, okay, yes,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it was
what got
just
me
something we
into it.
didn't have here. So
Yeah.
I just was like, what is this? It's amazing.
I was gonna say you don't have season 1 there?
No, I meant like you're like that style of drag.
Oh,
Everything like UK, but at the time, UK was very like it was more either the old-fashioned British drag, which is like just some ropey bloke in a dress who's kind of just like picked his eye, put his finger in like an eyeshadow and went, right, I'm done. Or someone who thinks they are RuPaul but doesn't look like RuPaul.
right.
So, but to be fair, I love that drag. But it was just that was something that I'd never really seen, and it was very like people did do it, but it was like London, which
Yeah.
I'm nowhere near that, so I didn't get to see it. So getting to see it just really made me happy. So that's why I loved Dragula.
I think for me it was filth because one thing you definitely don't get a chance to see like is like that filth piece in other drag circuits, and I just like the chaos. I love it. Like it's just Dragula is just that girl. Like really.
I look forward to one day seeing like a winter season, just because I feel like Dragula has like such a fun collection of winners.
Yeah.
And it'd be
Oh
like
man.
there's no copies, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you
No.
don't see two, like it would just be so interesting to see like all of the winners come together and like take one of the prompts and then like run with it, just because I feel like it'd be just so vastly different from like I feel like everybody would interpret it like differently.
I want
They-
that to happen.
Me too. They would 100% make you all do the exterminations, though. 100%.
Honestly, when we toured the UK, we were in Newcastle, and they had our bus parked outside of the venue that we were performing at.
Yeah.
And I'm standing outside of the bus, and Drac and Swan, I'm watching these two rats like fight, and Sigourney's smoking a cigarette, and I'm like tense, and Swan walks behind me and she pokes me, and I like turn around, I'm like, what? And then Sigourney goes, Saint's scared of rats. And Swan looks at me and goes, I've known you for how many years now?
Oh no.
And I was just thinking in my head, like, damn it. Like, because I've like purposely kept that from them. Because like every single time, like I remember when Violencia from season 3 was just like, I would never want to jump out of a plane. I like seen people behind the camera like
Oh.
they're just like, say that again a little closer to the mic. So like ever since like then, I've always like kept like any actual fears concealed. But when we were touring, I like, and it kept happening, like they kept seeing, because I do not like rats. I don't like rodents of any kind.
How bloody typical that it's my hometown that has the fucking rats. Jesus Christ.
We have rats here in Chicago too. Sigourney's like, come on, Saint, just walk. It's not gonna do anything. It was like, we just go around the block to get to your house? Like, but I just can't, like, I don't know. I just don't like rats.
That's fair.
Don't
Dolly
mind
was talking
them.
about spiders and like loving arachnids. I'm like, nope. Like, I can't do spiders. I'm out. I would like set my house on fire. Nope.
Yeah. I'm like, I
Just
would,
burn it and walk away.
Yep.
if there was like a challenge where I had to like sit in a pit of rats, I would Violencia in a heartbeat. Like, not no, but hell no. Like, absolutely not.
I don't blame you. I mean, I would be fine. Because like I love guinea pigs and I love hamsters. So I assume that they're basically the same thing. So
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
I'm like not a fan
but
of it.
if you flip it and like if it was a spider, then I'd be like, no. So I get it.
I'm actually surprised more people haven't like because honestly, the needle situation, I don't know if I
Oh, really?
I don't know. Like I don't know like if I would have sat through that.
Oh,
Especially with Monique talking shit next to me.
okay, but wow.
Like, I don't know if I could have done that.
Talk about making a moment, because I still love that moment though, because that's funny. Like, that is camp, that is, but yeah, I mean, needles don't bother me, but I mean, some of the gauges that they went, I was like, okay, I have issues with that, but
I passed out when I got that done. So I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah. And I have like a lot of piercings, but I'm just like, I don't know if I want one in my shoulder.
Yeah. I think I could do it. I think the one I'd have trouble with is the suction one, where they put the latex on. And it looks beautiful though. It looks stunned, but it's too scary.
I think I could do that one. I think like that one out of all of them, I'm just like, maybe like once it comes down the first time, I'm like, okay, but like seeing it, I'm just like, yeah, I think I could do that one.
It would depend on how long it was like sucked.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I don't know any other way to say that. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Vacuumed. Vacuum.
Okay.
It's a vacuum. Yeah. It would depend on how long I was vacuumed for. If we're talking like 10, 15 seconds, I'm like Officer Dewey. Officer Doofus. No, what is it?
Doofus, yeah, it's a scary movie. Yeah,
Doofus. Yeah. Yeah, like if it was like 10, 15 seconds, okay.
Anything past that.
But
No.
yeah, anything past that, no, I'd be dead. I'm an asthmatic and
Oh,
fat. I'd be fucked.
Well, then you better win
And
the
a
challenge.
smoker.
okay. All right. This is getting more frightening by the second. I don't know. I can't hold my breath long. And I don't swim or anything.
I don't swim either.
So,
Anything water related, I'm out.
you know.
I'm like, I don't know how to swim. I'm not about to try to do this.
I could swim.
I don't think I could have done the what was it? Was Zavaleta and formaldehyde. Yeah, no, when they were in the coffin, I'm like, I was fine until they started like, putting in the bugs and then the water. And I'm like, oh man, yeah, I would probably lose it a little.
I would disassociate so hard. I wouldn't even be in that coffin.
Oof. It was a good, I mean, again, the extermination challenges were fun, but it's also just nice to, I do like the fright feats.
Yeah.
But maybe, actually, you know what, I will say what I do miss. I miss the, like when they're eliminated and they get that cool death scene.
Oh yeah.
I miss that. Those were so
Yes.
good.
Yeah, those are delicious.
Yeah, I do miss those a lot.
So I hope
The
they
drop
bring
is
those back.
quite fun, like with the idea of it. But it would be nice to have like something after that, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they got the picture.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
They have a picture.
Same thing.
All right, so I got one for you, Saint.
So,
Even though during the Last Supper for season 4, you said you wouldn't return for another season, has watching it made you want to go back and join in the fun if there was another Titan season? And please say yes, no pressure.
I wouldn't. I don't know if I would do like a Titan season, but since now I'm a recognized winner, I would go for that. Just because I feel like I would do like, I don't know. I feel like out of all of the winners, I'd have something to prove a little bit more because like I'm kind of like barely just made it into that crowd. But I don't know if I could do a Titan season.
I
I
think you could.
I'm about
I
to
think I
say,
could, but I just don't know. Like, I don't know. I always feel like I struggle with that part mentally, just like, being
Yeah.
like the different attitudes and like just because I don't know, I'm more of like an introverted person. Like I don't like I do try to keep a lot of my life private and I'm like very quiet. That was like one of my biggest reservations of going on the show generally is I'm not like a huge talker. Like, I can, but, like, it just, like, when things start to get heavy and stuff, I just, like, kind of just, like, get a little bit more quiet and reserved. Which sometimes can be good, but, like, I feel like from a television standpoint where people really want, like, you to have, like, a big, loud personality, I'm, like, the type of person where you're like, we're doing drag, so, like, my drag will speak for, like, what I'm feeling in that moment, but as far as, like, being there, it's just, like, sometimes even when it was, like, season 3 and I like, the bigger personalities, I could feel myself being, like, drowned it out a little.
Okay. I mean, I personally like the idea of you being in an all winners season. I think that would be fabulous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would do
I would
something
agree
like
with that.
that, but as far as, like, a Titans or something, I don't think I got enough steam in me to do it again. 'Cause it's hard.
Fair enough.
It's hard. It's like the mental of it all, like, cause like looking back at it, like there's so many things that I wish I was focused on, but it just felt so impossible to focus on them while it was happening in real time. So I think something where like if they did do more of like a winner situation, I think that would be something I could be more interested in like doing because like I don't know. I feel like a little like past the point of like proving myself. So if you have like the proven already there, I could feel like a little bit more comfortable.
Okay.
Yeah, because it does, an all winners kind of does take away some of the edge, if that makes sense, because it's not a room full of people going in going, I have to prove myself because I
Yeah.
didn't prove myself. So I understand how an all winners could
Yeah,
come
I think
across as a more like chill
mindset.
environment. Yeah.
And I believe like everybody there is like confident, because one of the things I felt like I seen from this season is I feel like people who are a little less confident in the drag that they brought maybe had like a louder personality to try to compensate for that. And I feel
I see
like
that.
a winter season, like the expectations would be a little bit different, because the expectations are you're like there to be yourself. And
Yeah.
I still think like people should be themselves on this Zoom, but I just feel like, like it becomes that like more proving situation.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
I'll say that, yeah.
Or
So
if they had me do any of the other Boule projects, because just like didn't
I wouldn't.
There is a lot.
they did say that AMC Shudder deal was going to be like a spin-off
Mm-hmm.
5 and something else. So I have no idea what that something else would be, but I'd be down to do that.
I would like to
I
see
think
like
it
the
said
Boulets.
scripted content as well, didn't it? So
It didn't. I don't think it officially said certain
did it not?
things. Nah, I'd have to go
I'm
look at the
sure it
press
said.
release. But I would say I would love to see the Boulets actually produce or put out like an actual TV series or movie, like some content like that, and just bring in all of the contestants from Dragula. Let them cut their teeth on some, like, speaking of teeth, now I'm thinking about your looks. God, that terrifies. Oh, that gives me chills. But to actually see like you all in like a horror production, something like that, that would just, oh, I would live.
So are you saying bring back Mum number 2?
See, it was like things like that were like getting me, and that's just like another reason I don't know if I'd like to put myself through that again, is because like I remember that like that week I was so excited for that episode to come out, because like I remembered my lines, I was given everything, but the fans only seen like the big eccentric parts. And I remember I had posted the photo for that week, and there was people in my comments like Zavaleta should have stayed, and I'm just like, huh. Like I knew my part. Like I don't really understand.
Shit though, innit?
I think that
The internet can be fun, but it also can't be fun.
yeah, I think that would be the biggest reason why I don't know if I would do a Titans, or like it's just because it's like really weird putting yourself out there. Like having people is like I have so many stories like of like people like not like knowing us as like people. Like Dahlia Black, I remember after season 3, Dahlia is like a really great person. Like like I hang out with her, we just sit up at her house, smoke pot, and hang out. Like, and I remember one time her and I both, we had a gig in LA, and she was just coming out to see me at mine, but all day we had just sat up all day and like ate food and just hung out on the couch all day. And then when we got to the club, it was just like really weird, because around that time, it was like when she was arguing with Priscilla a lot in season 3.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody approaches her and they give me a hug and tell me how much of a fan they were of me, and then looked at her and was just like, but you're a fucking piece of shit, to her face.
No.
Yeah, and it's like those type of repercussions are like things that like I like do try to like I would like weigh in on going like back on. Also like the expectation to produce so much drag. Like I said, I'm like I like to sit down and tinker with it and work like before I like finally show people what I'm working on. So for it to change and like have to like do that again and be out there again for people to kind of be like, it wasn't that good, or like Erica, I feel like seeing her like not having fun with the season, and also having to put herself back out there, and people were like comparing people to other.
Mm-hmm.
I think
It's
that
such a
part,
shame as well because she was doing so well.
yeah. I don't know if could like put myself out there like in that type of light again.
It blows my mind. I mean, of course there are people out there, but I could never think of I could never go to any drag performer, even if I didn't like it. Like oh my God.
Yeah.
One, it takes so much for you all to be out there putting out this content, but like you said, putting yourself on this stage to be able to walk up to somebody like your shit. Like
Yeah.
I could that just blows my mind. I just like, do they think that's gonna win them kudos in it like that? No.
And like, even like, for better or for worse, like seeing like, Mary, like the internet, like how they dealt with that, and just like, like I just like I all like honestly after Resurrection, it was really weird because when the casting came out, I was like, oh shit, I have to do a full season. Because I had already gotten the redemption part out of the way. Like I was like, okay, people know like because like going home second, it really sucked. Um, I think just like mentally, it was just like, oh, people like will never know what I can actually do or who I am, or like they're like, some people are gonna know, but not everyone's gonna know. So after Resurrection happened, I was like, okay, well, that part's out of the way. Like, and they were like, oh yeah, you have to go film a full season. I was like, oh, like I forgot.
Shit.
And it like really didn't like hit me until like it was like it's time to start preparing like for looks and stuff like that. Like, oh, I have to like come and do this again a bunch more times and like, have them at like 3 looks was a little bit easier than 12.
Yeah. I never even thought about it
Yeah.
that way. Like that you really have to have 12 looks done in such a short frame of time. That
Yeah.
is insane.
And then like I said, like some people I feel like it may have come easier to, but for me personally, like I said, I like before Dragula, I really considered myself a drag hobbyist, and I was very okay with that. Like, because it just helped me have a healthy relationship with drag. Not having to like put out is like because I'm sure everyone you hear out all the time. Drag is expensive,
It's not cheap, yeah.
so like like being like and I like to like I like to be a lot like hands on. Even
Mhm.
if I'm having something designed or like, having someone sew something for me, I'm very like hands-on in the process. So like spreading myself for 12 looks and making sure they all like told a story was just like a lot.
That's
Like the amount that you have to pay. I mean, to be fair, quite some people can just like go to a thrift store, buy like an old dress, and turn it into a new dress, and have spent a fiver, and it's what they want. But some people can't do that, and they've got to pay designers and things like that. And it's just mind-boggling to think of all of the money that you have to put into this. I don't understand how you actually make money.
I mean,
If I'm honest, looking at it from an outside perspective, it's difficult to figure out.
I think for season 4, I spent $3,000, which was like pretty low end of the scale, especially knowing how much some people did. Cause like I went into it with the expectation that I could be like, cut like. So I really tried to use a lot of old stuff from like for instance, some examples were like for Freak Show for season 3, I was gonna be a dentist, which turned into the Tooth Fairy. Like a lot of the pieces from that like transitioned.
Mhm.
So I was
That makes sense.
luckily didn't like show off too much of my season 3 stuff, but I was able to use a lot of the season 3 stuff for other things. And then some of the stuff that I actually had for Resurrection and season 4 were actually just things that I was just working on beforehand.
Wow.
Like my glamour and the killer clown look were 2 looks I actually just had like months ago, like that just were just sitting in the closet because I was trying to cut any corners. Same with like the ghost. The ghost was something I had already just been like doing for funsies.
It's crazy when, like, I will say, like, the idea of, I mean, it's very smart that you went into it, be like, okay, here's, you could be cut at any moment. I don't want to. It is mind blowing because I have heard numbers that people have spent, but then you're like, they went home early. I go, that sucks because
Yeah.
that's a lot. And you still gotta, I don't know, you've really gotta be able to parlay that then into, gigs or, make the most of it. And so
And then touring was crazy because like they were like, yeah, we would like you to use looks like that you did on the show. And I was in my head like, Diva, some of these looks don't have any speed limit on them. They were just made to get me through that episode. And like I had brought my Harry Monsters look to tour, and first night all of it had fell apart. So the second night I'm like cobbling the shoe back together. Like trying to make sure, like put the wig back together, like super glue and stuff, because like it only had to get me through that day. So I was like,
Oh my God.
know how it was like, or I was trying to like bring all of the looks out every week as the episode was airing it, at least performing them one time. And there were some of them that were just like hilariously falling apart as it was happening. Like the ghost ship one, like, because like you're doing 12 looks in a month's time. Like, I had when they were like, this is a performance challenge, it's like, I have no idea if I can even like successfully walk at a walking speed in these pants. Like who seeing like, like I think that's like a success on its own, the fact that they can like move in them, because you're just kind of just like powering them out to like.
that's crazy.
Oh wow.
I will, before we wrap up, because I'll give everybody also a chance to ask a question, one more question as well. I do want to know, as you're stating that you're, a drag hobbyist, what else do you like to do, in your
Oh my
spare
God.
time?
Literally in 4 hours, I'm about to go pick up Pokemon Scarlet from
That's the one I
GameStop.
got. That's the one I got.
Yeah, 'cause everybody's getting violent, and y'all gonna all be calling me. I play a lot of video games. I play a lot of Destiny. I don't know if anybody knows that game.
I haven't played that
I
in a
know what it
long
is. I
time.
haven't played it.
Yeah,
But I
haven't
did
either.
just get a PS5, so maybe I should get back into it.
I got a PS5, a PlayStation, I mean an Xbox. I play a lot of video games with my free time.
Okay, so I feel like we're exactly the same then, because I've got the PS5, the Xbox, and the Switch.
Yeah, I play a lot of video games with my free time. I watch like a lot of trashy reality television just for
Do
fun.
tell.
I just watched The Simple Life the other day, like the whole series.
Yes. Yes.
Like, from episode 1 all the way until it was over.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Because I find it's like hard for me, like, just because of like I like to think of like my drag as like I have this like little small childhood imagination sometimes, and it's so easily influenced. So like to combat that, I try not to watch things that like I've never seen a Tim Burton movie, because I know once I see it, I'm gonna want to do something.
You're fine. You're
Okay.
fine. You're fine.
Okay.
You're okay. We'll
Yeah.
talk.
There's like,
I've
come
never
on,
seen
there's
a Tim Burton movie. Like I've never watched a single Tim Burton movie. So I'm like very particular about things that I watch. So because of that, I end up watching like a lot of trash to like, because I know it's not gonna give me any like inspiration.
Please say you've watched Selling Sunset.
What is it?
Selling Sunset on
What's that?
Netflix. Oh my God, it is the trashiest of the trashiest. It is about a group of real estate agents in LA.
Oh, I know. I've
And
seen
it's
it.
just
I know exactly what you're talking
all
about
very
now.
pretty women. Oh,
But
the
yeah,
drama is unreal.
I'm starting to watch Gossip Girl. like
Oh, mm.
like this new
The original or the new? Actually, I still
the
like the
new
new one.
The new
uh
one's good.
the new one is good. I'm only
Yeah.
on episode 2 and I'm getting my whole life.
You
They
are
are
not ready for that
vicious.
finale. You are
I
not
know.
ready.
I
Oh my
haven't
god.
and I just like I just binged like the original series like a few months ago. You know, the Thanksgiving, what you say?
Yes.
So like I watch like if it's like stupid and like like trashy, I'm all into it. I watch like the challenge every week. Like,
Yeah. Oh my god.
There
I
we
love
go.
it. And like
No,
honestly, I have like all of my drag in a separate room because I like try not to think about it as much. Because I find like the healthiest relationship I have with drag is being as far away from it as possible. Because it makes me want to come back to it, or
I love
it
that
makes me
though.
wanna, like come back to it like full force when I can't like. And it helps that I don't like think about it all day, or when I get to come back to it, like my slate is wiped clean because I just decided to watch all of The Simple Life.
I love that though.
I mean it's a good mindset to have. Giving yourself that block allows new ideas to come in.
Yeah, it
So they
does.
say.
So I like try to keep like all of the different things that I'm into very separate. Also, the new God of War Ragnarok, if you haven't played that, like it's so good.
I'm waiting to pay a day and then I'm going to buy it.
It's so good. Like you're not gonna be let down. Like I thought I was just because of the 2018 one was so good. But this one is like it's a very nice sequel.
Um, who's winning? Titans.
Okay.
Katie.
So this is just based off of what I seen. But the Boulets. No, I'm just kidding.
You know what?
That's a good answer.
Hey, like it's got to be asked.
I don't know. I don't know if I can even answer that question because they'll start doing their thing.
Yeah, I don't want you to know.
Yeah, they'll start doing that.
I didn't think of that.
We'll
They'll
stick
be
with
like,
the Boulets is a great answer. So that way
Yeah,
those
the
Nancy
Boulets
Drews
won.
can.
Because full disclosure, I'm wearing a wire, so you know.
Yes.
There's someone on Reddit already. Like everything's written down.
yeah.
And then Ryan, you get to ask the last question.
Mine is definitely, do you have any advice for any Black alt artists who are maybe a little afraid to start, expressing their art because maybe they grow up in a town where they don't see that type of representation very much, and then they see the art that does happen on Dragula and they feel like it's so far away and unattainable for them? Because what you do is just really inspiring, and so I wanted to like definitely create like that time.
I think I always like to like I'm gonna be honest, that like that question does pop up and sometimes I get really nervous because like I remember between season 3, I mean season Resurrection and season 4, I had got that question a lot and it was just like be yourself because like being myself has like gotten me here because like I literally went from doing drag in my bedroom, performing maybe once or twice a month to like being saint that everyone knows now. But it's just like be yourself because I feel like being myself has gotten me where I'm at now. Because if you're just sticking like to yourself, like I think that's the fun in seeing like so many other people of different ethnicities on Dragula is their interpretation is so vastly different from like what people are used to seeing like in this space. Like I just think, and also just sticking to your guns and just being yourself, you just bring such like a shock to the system. Like, like I feel like, having like Hoso and Coco like being there is just so like shocking to people because they just like I don't think their minds were ready for that, like to see this type of like culture and stuff brought into like this space that usually doesn't have those type of faces. And also just keep that, like, my best advice would be also to just keep your head up, because I feel like also being in a space where you're not usually seen, you also get so much like attention that you like, because I know for season 4, it was like the comments they were getting just so like racist and like, like
Oh my
sexist
god.
with Sigourney and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And it's just because you have like this group of people who wasn't usually in like this space, like who are coming in, and like not everybody was there for like like that like expression of art to be in this space. So,
Mm.
and even for me, that I think that was like part of the reason why I was having like that little bit of a meltdown in on Ghost Ship Glamour, is because I was just like really that look particularly, I had just brought in so much like different elements from like from myself. And I think that episode, I think that's why you got it that week, because I felt like that challenged everybody. Were bringing like their culture, because to this day, if you ask Hoso if that look was good, she gonna tell you yes.
I know that's right.
She
But you
gonna
know
tell you
what?
that. She's like, that was the best I've ever looked. I'm just like,
Yeah.
but it was just so different, because it was from, it has so much like culture behind
Mhm.
it. Like that, like it wasn't for me to understand. So like I like definitely say just be yourself and like be ready for the pushback.
That's true. I mean, it's well, I'm some don't think I'm Asian, but I'm Asian, you know. I've seen the comments. Some people call me Caucasian, but I promise you, I'm
I
half
forget about
Asian.
this.
So I personally also was very happy when Hoso brought that. I may have not agreed with the look, but I was also very happy though. I was like, I'm so happy though that you get to show this. And throughout too, just hearing drag yokai, I'm like, oh my god, like I was living.
Right.
So it makes me happy, and I'm happy that we get to see more of this in general, just more. I think Dragula has been really bringing a lot of, diversity, whereas I just wish that the hatred would stay out. Like
I think it
season
will.
4, season 4 got some of the, like, I don't know where those folks came from, because I was like, this is
Yeah.
not the typical Dragula audience. I go, this is fucked up. Like
Yeah.
who? Like I was like, this is. I was pissed at those fans. I wouldn't even call them fans. Actually, they, real fans wouldn't
People
treat
who
anybody
watch.
like that. Yeah.
You
I
know
think
what?
it will. I think over time it will. And I like, so like a lot of people don't know this, but when season after Resurrection had happened, I had found I had already been following Coco for maybe like a year and a half by that point. So I had like slid into her inbox, not for what y'all think, but I wanted to just encourage more people. And I had just been such a fan for years, just watching it from the side, like, like looking at her, and I was like, you should. So that would be my other thing to just anybody, like, I think that's the best place to be, in places that you don't think you belong.
That's deep.
Like
I love
invade,
that.
like, like everybody invade all of the spaces. Go to places that you don't think you should be. Because even for myself, when I first seen like season 1 of Dragula, I was like, ooh, child, I don't know, not season 1, but when I seen like Vander and stuff, because I was like watching the floor shows on Instagram, but I was like, and season 2, I was just like kind of like, ooh, like, and the Boulets had followed me on right after season 2, and like I was just like, well, what if I try? Like, so it's really, I think over the years I'm like really excited to see like what happens in season 5, and hopefully, and I can say this, and I'm sure the Boulets and stuff won't mind it, but the behind the scenes is super diverse. Like the behind the scenes is super diverse. So like,
I
it's
love
not,
that.
yeah, it's very a
I'm happy to
multitude of
hear.
colors and faces and different sexualities and genders. It's a very diverse space to be. So
I love that, and I think that's why I've gravitated more towards the Boulay, towards Dragula. I mean, the Boulay brothers, even when you go to their venue and just see everything, like they just seem so,
They're like
warm and
honestly
welcoming.
some of the
But
coolest people, like, like outside of the show and just like who they are as people. And like I can't speak for the relationship they have with everybody, but I know for me personally, ever since we met, it's been like I've always felt like I was part of like, the family and something like bigger.
I love anybody who can recite the Kim and Kyle limo scene from Beverly Hills Housewives. So when I heard them do that on a podcast, I was like, work. I love you all. But with that, before we go, I just want to say thank you to our guest co-host Ryan. And I would also like to ask, what do you have to plug? Because I know
What
you've
do I
got
have?
some exciting stuff happen.
If you're in the Chicago area, come to the Roscoe's Tavern. Sigourney and I will be there every week. Whenever we get around to doing it, we also have a podcast, spoiler alert, streaming on most streaming platforms. And I think that's it.
No. And I would obviously say, go check out merch, all that good stuff. But also Ryan, you've had some pretty you got some stuff to promote as well, which I'm really excited for you to talk about.
Yes, my book finally got published. My debut horror short story collection, There's Something Wrong in Morganton County, where there's 12 different stories, each one with a different queer lead of color facing off against a different horror. And I do have a book next to me, so I'm going to use the opportunity to like shamelessly plug.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. I'm so happy. Oh, I can't wait.
so there it is. And it's available on Amazon. So There's Something Wrong in Morganton County.
Period.
Yes.
I saw
That just stamped it for me. My heart's just like melting. Sorry.
I saw Joey post it and I was like, oh my god, yes. And I can't wait because I'm so excited for you. I think that's incredible. I don't so one thing about just our podcast is I never actually met Liam in person, and I've actually finally only met a couple of our other co-hosts in person, but we've never truly all have met. But I can't actually say I got to meet Ryan at the Overlook Film Festival, which was so amazing. So like it makes me so happy that you were able to do that, and I can't wait for more people to get to experience your work. So, and same thing, say like this has just been a dream come true. Like we love any of the Dragula ghouls to come on here. We love it. So
I know
like
we had such a good time. I wish last time we could have had 4 of us.
That's all right. I will say we were lucky enough that we got to have all of you on at some point. So we are just honestly, this is just like it's a huge dream come true to us because we love drag, but we love horror.
Yeah.
So with that, thanks Liam for being Liam. And
fat messy ginger in the corner.
Oh my god.
Just like, comment, subscribe. Seriously, I'll plug all their info down below. Go check them out, go send them support, and till next time. See you all.
Goodbye.
You have been listening to the Horror Hour. See you next time.